Good day, everyone. So, our topic for today is a continuation of Miss Sumargo's report, which is Deontology. So, in the previous situation that is given, it is all about Reggie, which is a taxi driver that is. So, it is all about Reggie, a taxi driver whom show his honesty by returning the suitcase of his passenger. So why did Reggie return the suitcase? For now, let us suppose his main reason was simply because it was right to return lost property to the rightful owner, no matter how tempting it is to keep it for oneself. Is it possible that Reggie's reason for returning the luggage was not because of any reward, whether psychic or physical? It is simply the right thing to do, Reggie might have told himself. So what if Reggie did not return the suitcase, destroy the lock, then took and sold its valuable contents? What is wrong about keeping and benefiting from the valuables that someone misplaced? So it is his fault. He was mindless and careless. Reggie could have thought that, as the saying one goes, finders keepers, then losers weepers. On one hand, Reggie could have mused, he will learn to be more mindful of his things from now on. Yet, Reggie returned the suitcase without the promise of a reward. So, as we previously said, perhaps Reggie believed that it was the right thing to do, even if he felt that he could have benefited from the sale of the valuable items in the suitcase. He must have believed the principle that it is right to do the right thing. Reggie could be holding on this moral conviction as a principle of action. So to hold moral conviction means believing that it is one's duty to do the right thing. So what is duty? Why does one choose to follow her duty even if doing otherwise may bring her more benefits? In other words, to have a moral conviction in doing the right thing means to be obligated by a duty. This is what duty means in the context of deontology. Experience. What is it like to experience holding a moral conviction as a principle of action, as we describe Reggie as possibly having? While the rest of the lessons below will attempt to elaborate on this, it will be helpful to discover the concrete and practical ways that we experience moral convictions in the world today. So, let us consider these scenarios. So, a classmate of yours offers a código or cheat sheet to one of your friends. It contains answers to the upcoming long test for the math subject. So your friend comes to you and asks for advice, saying, "Well, if I study this código, it will certainly help me to raise my low grades in math. What is so wrong about using it?" To respond, you may weigh the rewards and punishment with your friend, but thinking about having moral convictions here has made you think about the statement, "It is simply the right thing to do." So, kung ikaw ang iyang amigo nga gitagaan og kodigo, imo bang dawaton or mo follow ka sa rules and regulations nga gihatag sa inyong eskwelahan? In this case, it is simply the right thing to do to do not study the código. What would you tell your friend as regards the right thing to do as he faces the possibility of using a cheat sheet? What is your friend's duty in the context of deontology? In the context of deontology, so imuhang kung ikaw ang nasa sitwasyon sa kaning nakay amigo nga gitagaan og kodigo, so dapat yun nimong ingnan ang imuhang amigo nga di na gamiton, kay di man na sakto nga magamit og cheat sheet sa or kodigo sa exam, kay kuan man na kanang pagpanglimbong sa exam. So from this hypothetical kodigo experience, we can grow many situations in which we face questions concerning doing the right thing. So reflect on this experience of doing or not doing the right thing in these other examples. So number 1, telling the truth or blaming others for something you did that caused harm. So number 2, keeping simple promises. So like returning borrowed things and obeying a parent's wish. And number 3, following rules. No jaywalking, submit requirements on time, and comply with dress code. In these scenarios above, we can begin reflecting on what it means to do the right thing because it is the right thing to do. When we identify potential rewards or punishments, then you may ask yourself, do I need those rewards or avoid those punishments just to do the right thing? What does it mean for me to do my duty by just doing the right thing? In Filipino, I may ask, ano ang kahulugan ng paggawa ng aking tungkulin? Dahil tama itong gawin at kaya naman hindi ko na kailangan ng gantimpala o parusa upang gawin ito? So here is a challenge for you. So in the preceding weeks following the lessons in this unit, develop a certain observance or vigilance for identifying situations in which you or another person close to you face the dilemma of doing the right thing and the motives or rewards or punishments for choosing the right thing to do. Remember the previous examples: telling the truth, keeping simple promises, following rules, not using a cheat sheet, or returning lost or misplaced luggage that does not belong to you. Next, harness or whistleblowing and the duty to speaking truth to power. So recent history in the Philippines has witnessed many controversial whistleblowers. Names such as Primitivo Mijares, Heidi Mendoza, and Rodolfo Lozada Jr. have become important narratives of different ethical scandals in the past several decades. But what is whistleblowing? So we can consider it as a kind of speaking the truth to power. It happens often in the workplace that an authority figure violates a law or makes an ethical decision, such as bribery or extortion, deception or violation of human rights, among others. When it happens that an authority figure instructs a subordinate to do an unethical act, the subordinate may not agree with instruction, especially if he wants to live by certain moral principles. There is a problem that arises here. On the other hand, the subordinate must follow the instructions of the authority figure because the employer-employee contract binds the subordinate to follow orders of the authority figure. To do otherwise would be insubordination, which can be grounds for termination. He could lose his job. On the other hand, if the unethical act that is instructed by the authority figure is clearly against the principle of the subordinate, can he refuse to do it without fear of losing his job? In this problematic scenario, the subordinate needs to find a solution. So whistleblowing is one way of making an ethical intervention. However, the whistleblowers that we named above resorted to one kind of blowing the whistle, namely exposing the wrongdoing publicly, either by testifying in a public panel or by going to mass media such as a radio announcer or journalist. While publicly blowing the whistle can be effective, it is not the only kind of whistleblowing. Here are three other interventions methods. Number 1. Secretly informing a higher authority figure, the boss of the boss, about the unethical act. Number 2. Writing an anonymous letter to the authority figure threatening to expose the wrongdoing. And 3. Collaborating with the like-minded colleges to sabotage the undertaking of the unethical act and to prevent it from being done. So it takes a strong moral character to stand up to authority in the spirit of doing the right thing. But more than moral character, it is important to be wise and clever in choosing which intervention method to use in order to uphold one's moral principles. So that's all for my topic. Thank you for listening.